Take a cup of water from the sea. That is you. Now pour it back into the sea. Go, seek yourself, and find. Ibn Arabi. When the Master spoke these words, he was not speaking of the sea you see with your eyes, but of the sea that exists beyond sight, the endless ocean of being. The cup is your form, your name, your fleeting identity. You have been lifted from the boundless sea for a moment so that you may learn to recognize the taste of salt, the rhythm of waves, and the longing to return. My friend, every drop trembles with the memory of its source. That trembling is love. To take a cup of water from the sea is to be born into separation. The drop looks at itself and says, I am this small thing. Yet something inside whispers, you are more. Ibn Arabi saw that whisper as the echo of the divine breath, the nafakna fihi min ruhina. We breathed into him of our spirit. Qur'an 15:29. You were never apart from the ocean. You were simply made aware of yourself as a cup. Many search for God as if he were far away, hidden behind mountains or stars. But the mystic knows that distance is only a mirage. You cannot step outside the sea to find the sea. The journey is inward, a dissolving rather than a traveling. As Rumi said, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. Ibn Arabi lived this truth. He dissolved the walls of I and thou until only the shimmer of unity remained. Once a disciple asked him, Master, how can I find myself? He smiled and pointed to a well. He said, Look. The disciple leaned over and saw his own reflection. Now, said the Master, stir the water. The reflection vanished. That which disappears was never you. The stillness that remains, that is your real face. When you pour the water back into the sea, you do not lose yourself, you discover your vastness. What you call me becomes transparent. The waves of fear, pride, and desire begin to settle. Then, in that calm, the light of truth reveals itself. There was a story in the Masnavi about a piece of ice selling itself in the marketplace, crying, Buy me, O you thirsty ones, for I am melting away. Rumi tells this tale to remind us that we spend our brief lives selling our essence for fleeting things. But when the ice melts, it does not die. It returns to the river, to the source. Friend, are you not also melting hour by hour into the infinite? Why cling to the form that is fading when the formless awaits?
Ibn Arabi often said that God reveals himself through every form, yet is bound by none. If you hold too tightly to the cup, to your name, your image, your opinions, you cannot feel the sea around you. Release, and you shall be embraced. This release is not despair, it is surrender. The prophet said, Die before you die. This dying is not of the body, but of the illusion that you are separate. When that illusion fades, every breath becomes a remembrance, every heartbeat a verse of the vicar. In the quiet of the night, when all sounds fall back into silence, have you ever heard a whisper within your chest, a call you cannot name? That is the sea calling its water home. Many ignore it, busy with their tides of ambition, but the seeker listens. He sits beside that whisper and lets it grow until it becomes a roar of love. And when love becomes the only sound, the cup can no longer hold itself. There is a beautiful hadith qudsi. When I love my servant, I become his hearing with which he hears, his sight with which he sees. Think of it. The sea listening through the drop, the infinite moving within the finite. To live in remembrance is to feel that sacred flow through every act, every glance, every breath. Once in Damascus, they say Ibn Arabi sat beside a fountain. A scholar approached him, arguing about theology, insisting that God is beyond comprehension. The master dipped his hand into the water and said, "And yet, here he is, comprehending himself through us." The scholar was silent, for the truth cannot be confined to words. It must be tasted, like salt upon the tongue of the soul. O friend, you have spent many years polishing the surface of your cup, studying, striving, comparing. But tell me, has that brought you peace? The sea does not ask the wave to be perfect. It asks it to dance. Let your imperfections be your surrender. The wound you hide is the doorway through which the light enters. Shams of Tabriz once told Rumi, "The wound is the place where God looks at you." Do not fear that gaze. It is love wearing the mask of fire.
Sometimes the path is dark, and you will feel as though the sea has forgotten you. But it is in those moments that he is closest. The tide must recede to teach the shore its longing. When the heart feels empty, it is only making space for the beloved. Hassani Basri said, "Your sadness for his absence is itself a proof of his presence." Remember this when your nights grow heavy. Modern hearts are thirsty for what they cannot name. They chase reflections in the mirror of the world, beauty, wealth, recognition, yet each reflection fades. The Sufi path is the art of remembering the real face behind every mirror. You may work, love, struggle, and laugh like all others, but within you remains a still point, untouched by waves. That is the center Ibn Arabi spoke of, the meeting place of the finite and the infinite. Do not think you must renounce the world to find the sea. The sea is within the world, hidden beneath every wave of experience. When you love, love completely. When you serve, serve selflessly. When you speak, let your words taste of mercy. The Prophet said, "The most beloved of people to Allah are those who are most beneficial to others." When you serve, you pour a drop back into the sea. One evening, as I sat in solitude, I felt as though the walls of my being were too small for what stirred inside me. I closed my eyes and heard a voice, gentle and vast. Do not try to contain the ocean. Become its shore. That night, I wept, not from sorrow, but from recognition. I understood that surrender is not weakness. It is returning to what you have always been. The drop was never meant to conquer the sea, only to remember it. The mystics teach that love is both the path and the destination. Haji Bektash Veli said, "Where there is love, there is no fatigue." The cup filled with love overflows naturally back into the sea. This overflow is prayer, art, kindness, all forms of remembrance. Do not measure your worth by how much you possess, but by how freely you flow.
When Ibn Arabi spoke of seeking yourself, he did not mean seeking your personality, but your essence. The self you defend so fiercely is only a garment woven of time and habit. Beneath it is the naked truth, the timeless self that neither begins nor ends. To meet that self is to meet God in the mirror of your heart. The Qur'an says, "He is with you wherever you are." Reflect on this. Wherever you turn, He is there, not as an observer, but as the very existence by which you see and move. When this is known, fear dissolves. You realize that even your mistakes are ripples on the surface of mercy. When the seeker begins to dissolve, the mind trembles. It clings to the edges of the cup, afraid of losing its name. Who will I be, it asks, when I am no longer me? But the sea whispers, you will be what you have always been, the depth beneath the wave. The mind fears disappearance, yet only through disappearance does true presence emerge. What vanishes is not the self, but the veil. The great mystic Abdul Qadir al-Jilani once said, "The closer you come to God, the more you vanish in Him, like a shadow disappearing in light." He knew that annihilation is not death, but illumination. When the sun rises, the candle's flame is no longer needed. The heart that burns in longing finally understands. Its fire was never its own. It was the sun reflecting through glass. To seek yourself, as Ibn Arabi invites, is to walk toward that burning. You will lose many things along the way: false certainties, the pride of knowing, the comfort of being understood. Yet what remains will be real. Every Sufi walks this road of unlearning. They say there are 3 stages. First, you think you know God. Then you realize you know nothing. And finally, you see that only God knows Himself through you. The world will test your devotion. You may be mocked, misunderstood, even abandoned. But remember what Hallaj said before his execution: "What I see is so clear that I cannot deny it." The world saw a heretic. He saw only the beloved. His courage was not madness, but love beyond logic. Let the world misunderstand you, my friend, but never let your heart forget the taste of the sea. There is a moment in every seeker's life when silence becomes the only language left. Words, concepts, and forms all fall short. The cup cannot explain the sea. It can only dissolve into it. When that silence arrives, do not resist it. Sit within it as the prophets sat in caves, as Rumi sat in whirling, as Yunus wandered through forests. Silence is not absence. It is intimacy without sound.
In one story, Rumi told of a fish who heard rumors of the ocean and began searching for it. He swam through rivers and lakes, asking everyone, "Where is the ocean?" At last, a wise fish said, "My friend, you are in it, and it is in you." The fish wept. He had been surrounded by the sea his entire life and never known it. How often we are like that fish, searching for what already holds us. Sometimes we think the spiritual path means adding something, new practices, new knowledge, new titles. But the truth is the opposite. The path is subtraction. Every attachment, every identity you peel away brings you closer to the core. The Sufi does not accumulate, he empties. As Rumi said, "Become nothing, and you will be everything." The less of you there is, the more of the divine shines through. This is not an escape from life, but a deeper entry into it. When you see with the eye of oneness, even the smallest act becomes sacred. Drinking water, speaking gently, forgiving another, all are reflections of the sea's kindness. Ibn Arabi wrote that the entire universe is God's mirror. When you look with love, everything becomes a verse. When you look with fear, everything becomes a prison. The choice is always yours. The Qur'an reminds us, we are closer to Him than His jugular vein, 50:16. Think of this closeness, not physical,
not even emotional, but existential. You are not near to God as one thing near another. You are near because you exist only by Him. The breath you call yours is His breath passing through your form. When you truly feel this, gratitude overwhelms you. Worship becomes no longer an obligation, but a natural overflow of love. Hassan al-Basri once told his students, "The sign of the one who truly knows God is that he finds joy in whatever comes from Him." This joy is not shallow happiness, but deep surrender, the peace of the wave that trusts the sea's rhythm. When pain arrives, the mystic does not curse it, he bows to it. For pain, too, is a messenger. It carries a secret wrapped in fire. Do not flee from it. Stand still and listen. My friend, there are moments when the sea seems stormy. The heart feels tossed between hope and despair. In such times, remember that even the storm obeys the sea. You are not being destroyed, you are being shaped. Every wave that breaks upon you is polishing your heart to reflect light more purely. Yunus Emre said, "The raw one is a burden, the cooked one is a blessing. The fire of trial is the kitchen of the soul." One night a dervish came to his master weeping, "I see no light, I feel no presence." The master smiled and said, "Then you are closer than ever. When the beloved hides, it is only so you may learn to seek without sight. The absence you feel is a form of His mercy. He withdraws to draw you nearer. Seek Him not through emotion, but through faith. Faith that outlives feeling."
If you wish to know whether you are approaching truth, look not at visions or miracles, but at your heart. Is it becoming softer, more compassionate, more forgiving? That is the sign. The path of unity always leads to love. Ibn Arabi called love the creative force of the universe, the reason for all existence. "I was a hidden treasure," says the divine hadith, "and I loved to be known." Love was the beginning, and love will be the end. Do not mistake knowledge for wisdom. Knowledge can make you proud, but wisdom makes you humble. The more you know, the more you realize how infinite the sea is. Ibn Arabi, after writing volumes of profound knowledge, once said, "All that I have written is but a drop from what I do not know." This humility is the fragrance of true understanding. Let it perfume your soul. We live in a world that praises the loud and forgets the still. But the mystic walks in quiet wonder. He listens more than he speaks. He sees the divine trace in every ordinary moment, the child's laughter, the taste of bread, the whisper of wind through leaves. Nothing is small to the one who sees God in all things. To live like this is to be constantly in prayer, even without words. In the Masnavi, Rumi tells of a man knocking at a door. "Who is it?" asks the voice within. "It is I," says the man. "Then this house cannot hold us both," the voice replies. The man leaves and spends years in longing. When he returns, he knocks again. "Who is it?" "It is you." The door opens. This is the mystery of return, the melting of I into thou. O friend, pour yourself back into the sea. Do not be afraid of losing shape. What you will gain is eternity. The world you see is but the foam upon the surface. Beneath it lies stillness, depth, and light. When you stop identifying with the foam, you will rest in that stillness.
you will not cease to exist. You will finally begin to exist truly. When you walk through the marketplace, when you greet others, when you smile at a stranger, remember the sea flows through you. Let kindness be your current. Let humility be your shore. Let remembrance be your tide. Then, even your silence will speak the name of the beloved. The prophet said, "He who knows himself knows his Lord." But self-knowledge is not achieved by staring at the surface. It is born from diving deep. Dive, friend. The water may seem dark, but beneath that darkness is clarity beyond measure. You will find pearls where others see only depths. Those pearls are moments of awakening, glimpses of your true nature shining through.
Ibn Arabi believed that each soul is a unique reflection of the divine, a mirror through which God contemplates himself. That means your journey is sacred, your struggles are holy, your heart is a verse in the eternal poem. When you fall, rise gently. Even your falling is a dance step in his rhythm. Do not compare your reflection with another's. Every wave glitters in its own light. If you ever doubt your worth, remember this: the infinite took on finiteness to know itself through you. You are not an accident of creation. You are its purpose. To know this is not arrogance, but gratitude. The drop that knows it is of the sea does not boast, it bows. Now close your eyes. Imagine the cup in your hand. See how it trembles with longing. Slowly tilt it back toward the sea. Watch as the water merges and disappears. Listen, there is no sound, only vastness. That vastness is your home. That stillness is what you have been seeking all along. If these words reach your heart, let them not end here. Carry them into your days. Pour love where there is hardness, patience where there is haste, mercy where there is judgment. Each act of kindness is a ripple that returns to the source. The world does not need more preachers, it needs more lovers. Be one of them. And if this journey stirs something within you, a spark, a whisper, a longing, then walk with us. You are not alone on this path. If this message has touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, not for numbers, but to stay close to kindred souls who seek what you seek. And in the comments, write these words: "I am returning to the sea." Let it be your vow of remembrance, your small act of surrender. May your heart be light, your steps steady, and your cup always overflowing with love. Until we meet again, may you live as the sea, vast, silent, and full of grace.